Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Ryan here. Today is going to be a very interesting video talking about a game that I have been loving playing for a while now, since I first downloaded it about a couple months ago, and that is Titanfall 2. And today's video is basically going to be me doing a full review of the game. I've finally completed playing the entire game, whether that's multiplayer or the campaign. I have played them both fully through in a good amount of time, actually, to really grade my thoughts and, understand how I feel about this game. And overall, I have to say, this game is spectacular. I mean, I guess the best way to describe it, as you'll see in the thumbnail and in the title, I think that this is a masterpiece of a sequel. Now, the word masterpiece does get thrown around a lot. Sometimes maybe unnecessarily, or sometimes maybe in a good sense, because at the same time, I feel like the word masterpiece nowadays, to me, I obviously don't think anything could ever really be actually perfect, because that's never going to happen. The day that something ever comes out that, I would say at least 95% to close to 100% of people agree that it is a masterpiece, that's never going to happen. And so my definition nowadays of masterpiece ranges from a game just overall, it's like 95% of the game is just really, really good. And to me, I would say this game is 95% just absolute masterpiece of a sequel. And I'm going to reiterate that. This is a great sequel to a already iconic game in the first Titanfall. And of course, it's been a very long time since I have played the first Titanfall. I remember going back in the old days. I had so much fun playing Titanfall 1. I mean, man, I do miss playing that game. I don't think I'm ever going to play it again, just because I already have Titanfall 2 now, and I feel like Titanfall 1 and Titanfall 2 are basically the same game. Obviously, Titanfall 2 does a few things differently, and it's a more modernized version of Titanfall 1. So, I feel like Titanfall 2 just did it right. You know what I mean? It did it right as far as a sequel to a game, goes, because everything that the first Titanfall did right, they did it again in the second one. They just brought it back and did it again, while adding on newer things to it. And I'm so happy and so glad that they did that, because Titanfall 2 is just such an enjoyable game, and it's so much fun. The multiplayer, obviously, it's got its issues right now. Titanfall 2 obviously has a lot of problems right now, especially with hackers, and just the fact that the game is just unplayable from a server perspective. I don't know what is going on with this game right now, man. The guys over at Respawn really need to fix this game. It's got a lot of problems. But even so, I was still able to play a lot of it. As of right now, I'm currently Gen 2 on multiplayer, approaching Gen 3. And the campaign, I just finished and fully completed all the missions in the campaign. And I guess in a way, this game is also a way of more so talking about the campaign, because you guys already know, I love the multiplayer. The multiplayer is fantastic in this game. It's a great, great multiplayer. The campaign, to me, and I've seen the word thrown around that it's one of the better campaigns of all time as far as an FPS game goes, as far as first-person shooter. I have to say, I somewhat do agree, although I will say this, I don't think it is the masterful campaign, as I've seen a lot of people say. I do think that there are some things inherently missing from this campaign. For one, I think that this campaign could definitely have benefited more from having more missions that were shorter, because playing this campaign, there's not that many missions, and all of them are longer. They are pretty long. Not too long, but they do have an extensive time, as far as how long each one lasts. And so I think what would have benefited this game more, not to say that the current format of the Titanfall 2 campaign doesn't work at all, because it does work. I do like how they did it. I just think it might have benefited a little bit more if it had a couple more missions and each mission was a little shorter. And so I think the one and only thing that I had an issue with for this campaign that I think would have made it a 10 out of 10, 100% all-time campaign for a first-person shooter game is if they had more emotional weight to it. And essentially what I mean by that is the fact that the campaign is essentially about you connecting and bonding with the Titan that you are with. So essentially, and I'm going into spoilers here, I guess, in a way, because again, this game's somewhat older. So if you haven't played the campaign, click off right now. I'm going to talk about spoilers. So you don't actually start the campaign as a pilot. You start out as a rifleman. So basically, you're a grunt in the beginning, and something happens, and the Titanfall of somebody that you knew takes you up and brings you in, and your journey from there starts and goes forward through all these missions. And so basically that is how the game goes from there. You bond with this new Titan whose name is BT. He goes by BT, and he's got a few numbers after it. But his name is BT, and your name is Cooper. You're a rifleman, and then you became a pilot with this Titan. And essentially, I was hoping and thinking before I went into this campaign that there would be a lot of emotional weight to how you bonded with BT. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot there. Yes, there's so basically they do the dialogue, they do the whole dialogue thing where you get to choose what your character says. And honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't know if I necessarily liked that. I think this game would have benefited more if they had just given the character dialogue from the beginning. I think there's a lot more emotional weight to having a character in a game if you just give that person the dialogue beforehand. You don't actually choose what you say. Yes, for some games it works, but I feel like this game is different in a way to where I feel like it would have been way better if you had just not given us that function. And also, again, as I said, I wish there were more missions that I could have bonded with the Titan and BT a lot more, because by the time that the end comes, and again, spoilers, BT dies and he sacrifices himself to save you. And I didn't feel that emotional weight with the loss of BT as I hoped I would have. And, I think they should have probably done a little bit more on that side, because I don't know what it is. I'll bring up an example of a game. So Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, if you guys remember that game's campaign to me is one of the best of all time. And I think in a way it might be top 2 or top 3 of all time in terms of its ability to bring a lot of emotional weight to the characters and making you want to care for the characters, especially the robot in the campaign, Ethan. He is by far my favorite character in that entire story, and I think his death in that game, spoilers by the way for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, his death, it brought way more emotional weight. And I feel like robotic characters a lot of the times bring more emotional weight because you don't think of them as human. And then when you do think of them as human, it actually hits you a lot more. And it's cool how that happens a lot with a lot of robotic characters in like film and television and video games. And so I felt like they could have done a lot more with that in this campaign between you and BT, the Titan. So I felt like that was the only thing I inherently had an issue with the campaign. Overall, though, other than that, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun as hell. And, for it being the first campaign that Respawn did for a Titanfall game, because, of course, the first Titanfall, that was a multiplayer-only game. It didn't have a campaign, and it didn't have a third game mode. And shockingly enough, to this day, it really makes you think, man, that game is just one of the best of all time, just alone for the fact that it was able to do that and only have a multiplayer. And that is why, and not to deviate the conversation a little bit, but that is why I'm so excited for Battlefield 2042, because it's a multiplayer only game. They don't got a third game mode, and they don't have a campaign in that game. It's multiplayer focused only for that game, as far as we know. So I don't know, man. Overall, Titanfall 2, to me, it's a masterpiece of a sequel for a game. I think this game is a great sequel. I think it's one of the best sequels of all time in any video game. And overall, if I had to give the game a rating, I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. I love this game. It's so much fun. and I'm hoping that they fix it and get rid of all the issues that it has right now. Other than that, though, I got nothing more to say about Titanfall 2. As far as if I'm going to post this game any more on this channel, it remains to be seen because, of course, as I just said, it has a lot of problems right now, and playing multiplayer is very tough. Like, recently, it's just been getting hit with these hack waves of all these people hacking into the game, and the servers just aren't working. So, we'll have to see if I continue to upload this game. I probably will. We'll have to see. But as far as where this goes down the line, as far as games that I upload to the channel, we'll have to see come October, because once October comes and Battlefield 2042 releases, my channel for the most part is probably just going to be all Battlefield. I mean, I cannot wait for that game, and I am impatiently waiting for that game to release, because we are still only a month and 10 days away. So, yep, guys, that's all I'm going to have to say for Titanfall 2. I really enjoyed this game. Comment down below, what do you guys think about Titanfall 2? Is it one of your favorite games of all time? Where does it rank for you as far as the first-person shooter games? And do you like it more than the first Titanfall, or do you think the first Titanfall is still the classic game that it's always been? Comment down below, what do you think? And as always, guys, if you like this channel and you like the content I'm uploading, if you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button, especially if you are new to this channel. And yeah, I got nothing more to say, guys. Thank you guys all so much for tuning into the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.